I've invented drugs, I've drug patents, I've put drugs into clinical trials, I've gotten FDA approvals. It's an interesting business. It does impact our lives. We all have friends who are sick. Some of us are as well, or will get sick. And it's always nice when the doctor says, I have just the ticket. This will cure you. Here's a pill. And when they say, we can't do anything for you, you sit there and say, why not? Why did I get this luck? And the answer is because some drug company wants to make more money and needs that incentive to make a drug for you. And I think that makes sense. People think medicine is stuff that just falls off trees. And I'm one of these people that'll say the hard thing to say. Medicine doesn't just fall off trees. Software doesn't just fall off trees. People need incentives. And it's one of these things that, again, your average politician doesn't want to say because it's hard to say. But that scientist, that brilliant man or woman that spent a lot of time in school, part of the reason they did that is because they know that job might give them $300,000, $400,000, $1 million a year. And with that money, they can take care of their family, maybe their sick mother, their sick father, the kids they'll have. They can provide a huge, nice life for them. And if that job didn't exist, that really smart person, when they're deciding, what major should I do? Should I major in biotechnology or should I major in software engineering? And they say, well, there's no money in biotechnology anymore because we've shamed those companies to death. We've taxed those companies to death. That person's going to say, I'll be a software engineer. It's a lot easier, safer, more money. And those incentives, even though they sound weird, and there's some purists who are going to say, well, I don't do drug development for the money. It's all BS. The people that worked at Vertex, they didn't work 9 to 5. They worked 9 to 9 because they had a cure on the line. And when I was in pharma industry, I worked the midnight oil because I knew I was a big funder of Charlie's Fund. Charlie is a boy dying of muscular dystrophy. There's no treatment for Duchenne muscular dystrophy. And the thought of Charlie propelled me extra, gave me extra energy that I wouldn't have otherwise. So ultimately, incentives do exist and incentives are important, but the money is a huge incentive that could be the deal breaker for a lot of people. And I think that, we need to be able to incentivize all the great things that happen from the medical industry. And of course, we got to regulate them and limit the bad things. But the FDA is one of the few government, entities that seems to balance it just right. It's not too heavy and it's not too kind either. There are many drugs that don't get FDA approval, and it's not very political. You cannot buy your way to FDA approval. There's been some unusual results lately. There have been a couple of ones that, don't look great, but they're human. The FDA is not always perfect, but I'd make sure that the FDA stays, populated by, one of the things that makes the FDA great, actually, is populated by lifers. The people that work at the FDA never go to industry. They never go to lobbyists. They just work at FDA forever because they love the job. That's not the case in prosecutors. That's not the case in other fields where you go to industry back and forth. It's really a fascinating thing. If you look into it, you'll see there's a big difference there. And the best people are those people, like the people who are lifers at the SEC. They don't want to go to big law and make millions of dollars. They stay there because they like what they do. And it's just a funny thing that tends to be the truth, that the person who wants to be a lifetime FBI worker because they want to bust, let's say, pedophiles, and they think that that's a hard job, it's a necessary job, and it's something we're all thankful for. And, for that person to clean up the streets, if you will, is something that's a great thing. And they're doing it, of course, it's gainful employment, but they're also doing it because in their heart, they believe they're doing a really good public service, and they are. But the person at the FBI who's a careerist, who wants to go be a top person at a law firm, that's their goal, I feel bad for that person. And I want to make life hard for that person. I want to make that less attractive for that person. I want the people who actually want to do that job with their heart because it's the right thing to do, because maybe they know a victim of some kind of crime like that. There are good people in the FBI. And when Vivek or I say we want to cut the FBI in half or completely dissolve it, it's a little bit more hyperbole to get your attention. That there is waste in the FBI, there's waste in the DOJ, but there are good people that do that too. There are good people that stay up late at night to catch the scumbag criminal, not the kind of criminal I am. This is a political criminal more than anything else. but the actual really bad actor that's sitting there doing terrible things, whether it's on the internet or in the physical world, those are the kind of people that they're heroes at the FBI. And want to make sure that the people that are in government are in for the right reasons. Most of the people in government, I think, are not. One of the top priorities I have, it's not a healthcare priority, but I just have this list, and I'm almost going to go backwards on it, is I would advocate for the pardon of Ross Ulbricht, Edward Snowden, and others. I think that there are a lot of these, hate to keep going back to crime, but there's a lot of injustice. I just noticed that Kodak Black, who was pardoned by the president, who's a celebrity. Kodak Black is a famous rapper. I don't know his real name, but he just got arrested again. He's had a life of a rap sheet longer than you could imagine. He said that he never stops thinking about crime. And it's true. It's not just a rap song. He loves crime. And, Edward Snowden, in my book, is probably more of a hero than a criminal. And he's certainly been paying the price for what he did. So he's paid some kind of price. Ross Ulbricht, certainly not a hero, I think, to anybody, but he's paid a big price. And I think they should let him go. And I think that kind of fairness just isn't always available to everyone. Again, the celebrity, the news, being in the spotlight is what drives people. There are people like Edward Snowden, Ross Ulbricht, who you've never heard of. Those people have been able to get attention, but there are a lot of people that are lost and forgotten, who will never get that kind of clemency or pardon they deserve. So I would try to free Ross Ulbricht and free Edward Snowden, but also the other people who you haven't heard of, who don't have the kind of celebrity they have that are struggling. I think that working with the other team is one of my core values as well. We tend to get told that Democrats are bad and Republicans are good, or Republicans are bad and Democrats are good. I think that when we get told that, we're actually getting brainwashed into believing into the party system. I'm not a Republican first. I'm not an independent first. I'm an American first. And I care about the success of our country. I care about our country not going bankrupt. I care about our country leading in science and technology, continuing to lead. I'm okay working with Democrats. I'm okay doing Democratic stuff. It's really not, that important to me what the label or the party is, because, none of us have political views that could be encapsulated by an R or a D. Those are just two letters. They don't mean anything. We have much more complicated views that, I wish that we could dissolve the idea of a party, because it's poisonous. It's really dangerous, in fact. But very few people could really survive without the party. Not even Donald Trump could be, he sort of co-opted the party. He made the Republican Party his party, which is really funny. To talk about the machinations of this campaign, I'm not campaigning because I'm not nominated yet. The Republicans and Democrats have their own candidates. I call the Republican Party, which I affiliate a little bit more with, but Chris, who's been in Democratic politics his whole life and his father's life and going back a long time, he said I should run as a Democrat. And I said, well, I'm not opposed to that. I don't think they'd like me, but I'm not that opposed to that. And, they made their own decisions because they want to control those candidates. I have more name recognition than the two candidates from those parties combined times 1,000, but they're not, they're average politicians. They're going to work on behalf of the party. I'm going to work on behalf of the people. And it's just a very tricky thing to do. Now, because of that, I need 1,250 signatures. And if you are in Long Island, you can help me, or somebody in Long Island that's in District 3. Go ahead to ny3election.com, which I registered a couple hours ago, and fill out the form, put my name on it. And if 1,250 people do that or more, ideally, I'll be on the ballot, and there's no doubt I'll win. Nobody's even heard of other people running. They have 60 days as a unique election. Yeah, so I'd be running as an independent. It's a 10-month session, so it's really not that long of a stay, and that also kind of works well for me. It was a normal thing. I know somebody who's been planning to run for Congress for 10 years. They've been meticulously plotting their life for the perfect congressional run, and I'm sitting there laughing like, Congress to me is a step down. I don't want to be in Congress. It's a big inconvenience. I think that one of the other interesting kind of more off the wall ideas I have, and I know there's a lot of questions, is I think government communications should be open, monitored, and reviewed by the public. I think that this is one of the things that'll really force government to be open. I don't think we'll ever get there, but I think that we have nothing to hide. If you're in government and you have a secret email to email people, especially people that are giving you money, I think that's wrong. I think that everyone has the right to see that email. What is in your email that is so secret? I think that, of course there's confidential stuff. You want to email your kid or your wife. I think there should, be an ability to not share that. But I also think you've asked for a public life. You've asked for scrutiny. You've asked to represent the people. The people should know everything about you, everything that you are able to do, every one of your business transactions. It's funny, you see these people, all of a sudden they have $10 million. Well, how'd you get that? Why can't I see your business transactions that led you to that? What did you do to get that $10 million? And you see that, it happened to be from a guy that, gave me a big campaign contribution that I ended up doing some consulting work for them. Well, that's something your voters should want to know. That's something the media should be able to pick up on. But we have no transparency into how AOC is spending her time. Or a Republican, let's just pick on somebody, Matt Gaetz, who recently followed me, how he's spending his time. We don't know. We don't know if they're spending all their time golfing. We don't know if they're spending all their time drinking. We don't know if they're spending all their time what they're doing. And I think in this situation, given the amount of corruption and distrust we have, why not be able to allow for some of these privileges that these people have of privacy? We need maybe to reverse that a little bit and say, be a little more transparent. Why can't I look at your schedule? Wouldn't it be nice to know? When WikiLeaks happened, we saw Hillary Clinton's schedule. Man, a lot of us opened our eyes for the first time and said, whoa, this person is on a private plane everywhere. Who's paying for that? This person's meeting with George Soros, Henry Kissinger. Who's paying for that? And are they paying her? A lot of good questions came up, and we got to learn a lot about politics through those WikiLeaks and got to see how it really works deep down. And I think I'd like to see more of that, and it would keep people more honest and keep people away from doing some of the dirty things that we see happen in DC every day. I do have a couple of simple things that again are more provocative and catchy just to get votes and get people's attention. There are people in America who are really interested in aliens. I'm not one of them. I don't think aliens exist. I don't think there's any conspiracy. But I have a lot of smart friends that are really interested in this subject, and I think we should open up our records for that. The same thing applies to other conspiracies and questions about what's really happening in these three-letter agencies. Who was Jeffrey Epstein? All of that stuff. What does FBI and CIA really know? What do they do? What does the NSA even do? All these things where people are even told that when you ask that, and I had a good relationship with some of the Obama people when they were in the White House. And even when some people say that when you ask those questions, that even the deep state will sort of turn on you. Now, my Obama friend said that that's not really the case. There's no real deep conspiracies in there. But I think we need to be able to find somebody to trust that can actually look people in the eyes and say, look, we don't have anything on aliens. We don't have anything on this or that. There's no space lasers. There's no, this or that. And I think that I could be one of those people that could actually ask the tough questions and tell the people the truth. If there was something there. And I really think this is getting more and more attention. Aliens were always something people laughed at. And now we've gotten to a point where people really do believe, whether it's MH370 or other things like that. Why do we have to wait forever to see these quote unquote classified documents? Why is everything classified? It's really it creates this state of secrecy that lends people to really question government, lose trust in government. And I think we should open up more of those documents to the people. And we're paying for it. Why shouldn't we have the secrets? Why shouldn't we know everything? And again, my ideas on transparency are a little radical. I don't think we're going to have a world where we can look at every politician's email. I think we should. I don't think we're going to have a world where we can look through the FBI files, but I think we should. And even if I move that a little bit more, I want to reduce the privacy of the government and increase our privacy. We should have the privacy. They should have the transparency. Instead, it's the other way around. They can see everything we do, but we can't see anything they do. And I think it's a terrible thing. So I'd love to be able to turn the tables on that. Daniel or David, I know you guys have been waiting.